I'm Morgan from Pack Hacker, and in this video we're taking a look at the Kelty Redwing Traveler 40, which I've been testing for 3 weeks. If you find this video helpful, hit subscribe so that we can continue making content that helps you travel smarter. Let's jump in. So the outside is made with a 600D ripstop polyester. It has a very familiar grid-like pattern to it that also kind of gives it a little bit more texture to like the overall feel of the bag. The materials, while incredibly durable and definitely robust, also feel really lightweight, which is also very nice, and everything feels very like malleable to the point where it can be like condensed, I'd say, a little bit. And so I found that to be super helpful, especially when packing stuff out. The zippers are YKK and glide pretty smoothly around corners and have these nice accented zipper pulls. Let's see. For attachment points, there are not a whole lot of them, except for like right here. And then there's these buckles as well, which is part of their like wing design. And you can attach things to this handle or compression strap, or you can also use this to secure items in like the deeper pockets, but I'll get into that in a minute. Let's see. And then, the grab handles, you can also attach gear like a larger carabiner to these grab handles on either side. These are also just convenient for like positioning the bag or like getting it in and out of like a taxi or from the overhead bin. There's the main grab handle here on the top, and it's just made from like a simple nylon webbing. It's not like the most comfortable, but it'll definitely do in a pinch, especially since like there's no padding to it. And then in terms of branding, it's pretty minimal as well. I would say like pretty straightforward with just their brand on the front here at the top, and then it has like the unit like model number, as well as like the capacity right here. Taking a look at the harness system, the shoulder straps are pretty comfortable. They have like a nice degree of foam padding to them, and it's got like a nice wide design, and it's also contoured to kind of fit the shoulders. It's loosely attached here as well, so it kind of allows for a little bit more flexibility, which I found to be very convenient and very comfortable. On both, there's a small nylon attachment point, which you can use to hook on extra gear with like a carabiner, or I use this for storing sunglasses when I just wanted them like off my face for a little bit. And then you can also use this with a hydration reservoir as well. So you can feed it through here and stick it through here just to kind of keep it contained and secure. On each, there is a sternum strap and as well as a hip belt, and both are not removable. And so they attach with a plastic buckle pretty easily. It's very comfortable, helps kind of just provide a really nice secure fit. And then the hip belt can be stowed here in this like dedicated pocket, which is nice if you don't use it, but it does kind of tend to stick into the back if you're wearing it with like a lot of gear. So this is what it looks like on, especially with the sternum strap, and the hip belt provides a nice amount of like flexibility and customizability for like a really tuned in fit, I would say. And then one of the other things that I really liked about the hip belt specifically is on the sides, on both, there's like this stretchy mesh pocket, which is really good for like loose change, or I would store like AirPods in here typically. And then when not in use, I would just like stick this behind the back panel. So taking a look at some of the pockets on this pack, I'll start off with the water bottle pocket. And as you can kind of see with smaller water bottles, it doesn't have the most secure fit. And so it's really easy for something to kind of just slide out, which is not ideal. But larger water bottles like a Nalgene 32 ounce should fit nicely in here because it is gusseted, as you can see here. And so I think just thinner water bottles may not fit securely here. So something to keep in mind. It's like that. There's one on this side and one on the opposite side as well. Behind that is another zipper pocket, which this is typically where I would store a water bottle like this in. It's an interesting design. It has a J-style opening, and this pocket goes all the way down to the bottom here. And so this would be probably a more ideal place to store thinner water bottles. So I like that flexibility. Or you could store other gear in here as well. Like I said, it goes all the way down, so you're not constrained by just like this size since it comes all the way down. And then behind that is another pocket. And so like right above this winged compression like strap, there's like an area where you can slip things down in here. And so this is really great for like hiking poles, or in this instance, I have a tripod. And so you can use this compression strap to secure longer gear and make sure it doesn't like fall out. But like, as you can see, it's pretty long, and so it comes all the way down to the very bottom. And so like this level of versatility I found to be incredibly helpful, especially when packing like usually like longer, like oblong stuff. I will say that this is probably not ideal for like smaller items, just because if it falls all the way to the bottom, trying to get it would be a little bit challenging. On the front, there is a top quick access pocket with just a simple zipper, but inside it has a nice felt lining. But in here you can store a decent amount of stuff. Like I have a pair of sunglasses and a iPhone 15 Pro Max. And so it takes up basically the front of this compartment. And then below that is like a little office or administrative panel with some extra organization. This one has like a nice long U-shaped opening with a single zipper. And so revealing it, you can kind of see the organization in here. One of the large pocket towards the back is nice for like a notebook or a potential tablet. It goes all the way down to the bottom of this compartment. Attached to the side is a key clip with just a simple plastic carabiner, and it's short, so I definitely recommend like removing your keys. Otherwise it might be a little awkward or uncomfortable. At least that was my experience. But I do like that it keeps the keys like secured to one side. And then we have another slip pocket where I just have a little hard drive. And then in front of that is a zippered mesh pocket where I store my earbuds. And then two pen pockets, and then like a smaller, this is like pretty small. I just stored like lip balm in here. And then loosely you can just store any other gear in this main compartment as well. And so I just have like another notebook. Taking a look at the main compartment, it is accessible via these two dual zippers here at the top, but you can store them on any side. It's got like a nice U-shaped opening, so it allows you to open it up clamshell style, which I found to be particularly convenient, especially for packing, traveling, camping, etc. And one of the things that I will say about this design is that because it is like front loading, it does require, in order to use the clamshell style opening, to place this bag on the ground with the back panel on the ground basically, which can be slightly inconvenient if it's like a dirty surface, because then that dirt will more than likely transfer to your clothing. So that's just something to keep in mind. One thing I did like about the flexibility though, the flexibility of this specific design, is that you can just kind of open the zippers partially and make it top loading. And so that was also pretty convenient when packing. So here is the bulk of like the space, I would argue, where it gives you like a nice large opening. It's got these straps to kind of like cinch and secure things down, very reminiscent of like a traditional roller luggage. See, on the lid, there's also some built-in organization as well. And so there's like this medium-sized zipper pocket and a much larger zippered one with a vertical oriented zipper. The mesh is not necessarily, it's not stretchy at all, but it does do like a decent job of providing like visibility or breathability if you want to store like clothes in here. Inside this pocket, I just have a wallet and some cash. And then below that, I typically would use this for like some electronics, like a charger. I've also used this to store like toiletries as well, like toothbrush, toothpaste, that kind of thing. And then inside here is just like an empty space. So I have some packing cubes just to kind of show like how spacious it is inside. And then another really interesting pocket is the laptop sleeve, which is right here. It sits in front of the like the rigid frame of the back panel, and provides like a nice amount of protection from that end. And then this is like decently padded, but also has like a felt lining to prevent scratches, which I found convenient as well. Let's see. And the laptop compartment can also function as a hydration reservoir. And so you can attach this to the top, store it here, and then there is a hole to feed the tube through. There you go. And so that would be super helpful when like hiking specifically. But this compartment is also accessible on the side right here. And so this allows you to get access to your laptop if you're like traveling, so you don't have to like go through all of the clothing or all of this gear in the main compartment in order to get to this laptop compartment. You can just access it via the side. So that was super cool. And I like the way that they implemented that. It just kind of gives you options. So there you have it, the Kelty Redwing Traveler 40. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel. We'll see you in the next video.